Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by Hockey Think Tank. You place for all passionate parents, players, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We are bringing on a guy named JJ Howland. And are you ready to be inspired, guys? Are you ready to be inspired? This was such an awesome episode. Vex, got to know him through Instagram. He's got a huge Instagram following. He is in the wrestling world, but he is a U.S. military veteran. He was in the Marines, also went through some very big ups and downs in his life, and he was very open about those on the podcast here today, talking about drug addiction, talking about homelessness, and wow, I mean, you're going to get better. You are going to get better at whatever it is that you are passionate about, whatever you're doing in your life after listening to this episode here. Cannot wait for you guys to listen to this one. Before we do get over to JJ, though, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, a 1GM Jeffrey J. Hulavecchio. Vex, what's up today, brother?
Not much, bro. Was really obviously excited to get JJ on here. I haven't met him in person. I was supposed to a few months back because he's a first form athlete like myself, and was in town up at First Form headquarters, which is just, one of the most beautiful places you could ever be if you're into training and nutrition and stuff like that. And been following him for a while, and literally puts out the same type of messaging that we do for the hockey world he does in the wrestling world. And just really thought that it would be a value add to all you guys listening. And I'm sure you're all going to go follow him. And it's 100% somebody that you can learn from, somebody that you can be motivated by, and somebody that you can use to help you level up, whether it's hockey, school, business, life, it doesn't matter. Really excited to get him on the pod here.
Yeah, man, like goosebumps a couple different times on this episode. Just some real talk about everything from performance to mental health to mentorship and surrounding yourself with good people. Like this episode had it all. And it's really kind of honestly just a interesting timing, because last week I wrote a blog about how I'm struggling a little bit. How just it's a time in my life where there's that word enough. You're not feeling like enough in a lot of different areas of my life. And so there was a lot of like just consistencies and a lot of things that he talked about that I'm living right now. And so I do want to say, actually, like, thank you to everybody that reached out, man. Like, there's so many people that reached out over the past week or so just to kind of check in and see how I'm doing. And I really, really appreciate that. But it's funny, like, I was going through a bit of a tough moment, and I was just kind of like reflecting on it and just writing some things down. And I was like, man, like, I bet you there's other people going through this stuff too, and I'm just going to write about how I'm feeling and how I'm trying to get through it. And certainly resonated with a lot of people. So I appreciate all you who've reached out. And honestly, like, this episode is something that kind of hit home for me just in this phase of life of where I'm at right now. But man, just a really cool episode.
Yeah, 100%. And perspective always helps for everybody, and it seems like, you and I talk about that and have for 7 years, and then to have somebody like JJ, who's been through the ups and downs and in the military and the things that he's seen and been through, and the homelessness to where he's at now, just catapulted into, kind of like wrestling fame, post wrestling career, like it's perspective is such a massively powerful tool, and he talks about it and we talk about it. And, I think it's great to know that there's other people that have gone through the tough times and have come out on the other side. And it's always going to help to hear those.
Boom. For sure. The darkest is only, what is it? The dark is the darkest before the dawn.
The dark is the darkest before I guess that is true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, 100%. I always think about like it's always darkest before dawn. Is I think
Maybe
somebody,
that's I knew, there's a quote in there somewhere about
for
how
me
when it's dark, there's lights coming, kind of thing.
for me too though. Talking about perspective, like honestly, and I talk about this with my young players all the time too, like midget age and junior guys, and like no matter how hard anything that I go through today or tomorrow, it will never, ever, ever be as hard as the stuff that I went through with my concussion. Ever. Nothing will ever be that hard ever again. So instead of me in my life post hockey and after the concussion stuff, instead of me thinking, allowing myself to wallow in, oh, like this terrible accident happened, it reshaped my career and changed the trajectory and yada, yada, yada. I don't look at it that way. I'm like, well, nothing I ever go through will ever be that hard again. Nothing will ever, ever be that tough. And so I got through that and I am where I'm at now. Whatever I'm going through right now, I can get through because I got through that. And that always helps me, to then attack whatever is in front of me. And that perspective shift always helps me.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. All right. I don't want to take up any more time. I want to get over to this conversation. We do have a few people that we want to thank first. First, as always, want to thank our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all your coaching education needs. Thousands of drills, whiteboard explanations from really high-level hockey people, the ability to go in, draw your drills up, create a library for yourself or your entire organization. We've partnered with them to do an association platform where you can get this for every single coach in your organization. Now, they also have come up with a couple new things. They have IHS Plus, which is some more exclusive content that anybody can go and get, and it's incredible. They got Daryl Belfry stuff. They got stuff from myself, Dwayne Blay, the the skills coach for Detroit Red Wings, Meg Popovich. Like IHS Plus is absolutely incredible with all the new features that they have on there, and they also have come up with IHS Family, which is not just for hockey coaches, but for hockey players and for hockey parents as well. And we've done a lot with them in this space as well. So go to icehockeysystems.com and check all those out. Just a huge value add. Vex, go ahead.
I want to thank Train Heroic. You guys know Train Heroic is the amazing platform and app that I use to work with all of the thousands and tens of thousands of hockey players around the world. Whether you're a team, you're an organization, does not matter what level, does not matter what age, I can deliver quality off-ice training programs geared towards whatever your schedule is, whatever your age is, whatever your developmental level is. They've completely changed the way that I do business and allowed me to work with so many players at such a hilariously low price. So a massive thank you to Train Heroic.
Also want to thank Helios Hockey, the best hockey product out there for hockey development today. It is a sensor that you put into your shoulder pad that gives you real-time feedback on your play. Two of the things specifically that the kids absolutely would love. Number one is a hustle score. So every time you move, that thing lights up, and it's a hustle score that the app can give you, but also really big into skating, stride mechanics. There's some great developmental tools on that as well, on top of the feedback that you get from your stride. So go to helioshockey.com today. Use the coupon code Think Tank, one word, and you will get 20% off your Pro Annual or Pro 24-month subscription. But the biggest game changer of Helios Hockey is the fact that it syncs up with whatever video you're using, and you can get your shifts cut up for you directly after your game. So whether it's reps in practice, shifts in a game, again, every time you move, that thing lights up, and you can get it right for you after the game. Like, time saver. Absolutely incredible, especially if you have a video coach. Just send that on over to the video coach, and bada bing, bada boom, there you go. You're getting better even more. So thank you to Helios Hockey. And we also want to thank Crossbar, the best website out there to help you streamline and make efficient all of your hockey operations for your youth hockey organization. I know so many hockey directors and youth hockey presidents through the work that we do with the Hockey Think Tank that have made the change from some of your big box type stuff to Crossbar, and they have all been extremely happy that they have. So what do they have? The website on the front end and the back end, just so incredibly easy to use. 5-star communications app to communicate with your players, your parents, and your families. The ability for registration for everything from full season type stuff to little things like drop-ins and clinics and stick and pucks. Also financial tools and reporting, volunteer management, rink facility management. Like this thing, it's a one-stop shop to run your youth hockey organization. So go to crossbar.org today and check that out for your youth organization. And also lastly, before we do get over to JJ, we want to thank you guys, our listeners. We love you guys so much, and continue to grind this baby out once a week. Actually, not once a week, 3 times a week with our short shifts episodes too. And we just want to make a positive impact on the hockey world. If you can, for us, the only thing that we ask for in return is just interacting with our podcast on your podcast app. So whether that is Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, we are everywhere. Anytime you shoot us a rating or a review, or you follow us or download us or shoot us a comment, whatever, it just goes a long way to the algorithm to getting us into some more ears. And if you think we're living our mission of making the hockey world a better place and you can help us to spread the word, we would very much appreciate that. So with that, guys, you're going to absolutely love this conversation. So without further ado, here we go with JJ Howland. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast right around the Atlanta, Georgia area. We got JJ Howland. JJ, how you doing today?
Good, brother. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we're pumped to have you. And I do have to say, like, Vex got a little extra pep in his step today. You know, he was like, we got to get this guy on, JJ. He's like exactly what we do in the wrestling world. He's got such a great story. Like, so pumped to have him on here. So we appreciate you taking some time. And I think there's a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that you do are very, very similar in the way we think about things. And so I'm really looking forward to picking your brain on how you got here, your journey, and what you're doing to affect some positive impact on the world that you're in, man.
Oh, thank you guys so much, man. This was, I haven't actually gotten to meet Beck in person, but one of these days he's going to be on the receiving end of a double leg. So
I don't know shit about wrestling, so that'll feel great for my 14 concussion brain for sure. But before we even start here, like, I would love for you to just what's your Instagram handle, real quick?
So it's at JJ Howland, HOWLAND.
Okay, all the coaches out there right now. I know there's so many coaches that listen to this show. Please go follow this guy. As Toph and I have talked about on the podcast for years, I don't care if it's a coach or if it's a teacher, but somebody that has the ability to get the messages through to their students, their athletes, their customers, their clients. You can learn from them. Okay. You can take from them. Doesn't mean you need to mimic them and you need to do it the exact way. But I think if you have a coach or somebody in that type of relationship, that type of role, learning from how they're able to get buy-in is going to help you as a coach do anything and instill lessons in the game and life after. And I've been following JJ here for probably about a year on social media, and I think he does it better than almost anybody out there, which is why I asked him to come on the podcast. So make sure that you write that down or you follow him immediately, and you're going to get gold right away. So Topher, proceed with the Boraphil.
It was a nice little tire pump there, Vex.
Yeah. No, he's gassing me up pretty good.
Well, good stuff. Well, JJ, just to kind of introduce you to our listeners here, what we try to do, at least at the beginning, is just talk a little bit about your childhood and kind of how you grew up, and your sport is wrestling. And you wrestled as a kid, wrestled up through high school, and then went into the military. Your journey has been incredible, and I can't wait to get into it. But growing up, just tell us a little bit about your childhood and what made you kind of who you are today.
Yeah, so I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which at the time was a prime thoroughbred ground for wrestling. A lot of tradition, generational family, brothers, uncle, dad, grandfather, so on and so on. And, so wrestling was like the thing. I started wrestling before I could even tie my shoes. I was on a wrestling mat, whether it was like at my brother's practices or watching their matches or whatever it was. So I grew up with the sport, and I had a lot of success in my career in high school, and right about the time it came for college decisions, like, man, I was just 9/11 happened. I was kind of like always, I don't want to say the black sheep of the family, but I thought a little bit differently about things than the rest of my family. Great family, by the way, Christian, Dad was a police officer and a pastor, and mom worked for the police department as well. So great, loving, wonderful, wonderful family, wonderful upbringing. No complaints there whatsoever. But when it came time to do the whole college thing, I had a choice, like go take a scholarship and go wrestle in college and keep cutting weight. And that wasn't really on my list of things to do. Or, I just really felt called to go join the military. 9/11 happened, and I was getting pulled in a different direction mentally. So that's kind of where I ended up in that. And ended up going that way.
Yeah. It's a little different way to say the least.
Yeah.
And I do want to get into that choice. I mean, Vex and I both have such a deep respect for the military and the people who put their lives on the line so we can have our freedoms. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you a little bit about wrestling. This is obviously a hockey podcast, and so much of hockey is about one-on-one battles. It's a team sport, but it's all about kind of one-on-one battles. Do you want the puck more than the other person? Are you willing to go that extra length, to win that little race, to win that little battle? And wrestling, it's just you, another dude, and a mat. Like, that's it. And so I wanted to kind of ask you, I would imagine there is a big technical part of wrestling and technique and tactics and things, but a lot of winning probably has to come down to like, hey, I want this more than you. Like, I'm willing to die for that little piece of mat there, or whatever it may be. And not knowing much about wrestling other than that, can you just walk us through a little bit about kind of the thrill of hey, this is just you and me, buddy, and let's go.
Yeah, I think my perception, even on the sport of wrestling, has changed as I've gotten older. Growing up in it, it was always, that mindset of like, oh, it's just you and another guy, or nowadays a girl versus another girl, like whatever the case is. But now, the more I get older, I realize that it's a whole lot deeper than that. Like, it really isn't me versus another person; it's me versus me, and a lot of it is mental. And when you can take that aspect out of it and not put yourself against somebody else, but you're putting yourself against yourself, your own beliefs, your own self-limiting doubts, all the stuff that you tell yourself, in your own head. I mean, everybody's your own worst critic, right? Your brain will tell you worse things than anybody else ever will. So my perception of the sport kind of changed as I gotten older from, it's just you and another guy, to really it's you against you. And there just happens to be a dance partner on the other side of that mat. But, growing up, you put your foot on the line, you get out there and you go toe to toe and you see what you're made of. But I think that's surface level, that's for me, that's really surface levels type stuff. And when you really, really start digging deep into it, the battle isn't against another person. It's really internally.
I love that so much. And we talk about, there he goes. There we go. We talk a lot about that, and we're really big believers in that too, in the sense that, like, so many people want to compare themselves to other people, as opposed to the best thing that you can do is, are you a little bit better today than you were yesterday? Are you a little bit stronger?
The thief of joy.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm wondering, like, you've gone through some changes in your life, and we'll get into some of that stuff maybe a little bit later, but like, how much has that kind of like twist in mindset to being about, it's just about me. I want to be better. Like, this is about me being better tomorrow than I was today. How much of that you learned through wrestling and you've learned through your maturation process has helped you to be successful, in your business and in your life today?
Honestly, I think it took me a really long time. And I think it's really, really difficult for a lot of people to get out of that comparison mindset, because it's really easy, especially now with social media, with seeing all this stuff. You see all these people online, you see people, in your day-to-day life, and they're the flashy, they got the nice cars, the nice houses, they got this, they got that. And it's really, really easy to get in your own head of like, oh man, like, I'm 20, 30, 40 years old, and, I have a Honda Civic or whatever the case is for you. And you're constantly in that state of comparing. And I think it really took me until the last couple of years to kind of get out of that mindset, whether it was sport or, the business world, of just being like, hey, you know what? I may not have what that next person has, or I may have more, but I have more today than I had yesterday. And there was days and months and years where I prayed just to have food. Right. So it's like, I'm not where I want to be yet, and most people aren't, but you're still in a lot better spot than you were. So when you're comparing your chapter 1 or chapter 2, you don't want to compare it to somebody else's chapter 20. Right. So, getting out of that comparison mindset is really, really important to just kind of run your own race. And when I was able to do that, that was part of the reason that my life started changing around, was just not keeping up with the Joneses or whatever you want to call it, and just running my own race.
And I learned that lesson young, relatively young, 17 years old. I was playing in the USHL, which I was playing against Toph on a different team, and I got injured, and game was taken away from me for like 3 months. And same thing, like before that, I was caught up in like, why is that guy playing more than me? And why is this guy getting a scholarship and teams aren't talking to me yet? Blah, blah, blah. I get hurt, can't play hockey for 3 months. All I could do was go to the gym. That was the only thing I could do to get better, because I couldn't skate or anything because I had a lower body injury. And that shifted my mindset for the rest of my life to just go to the gym, do what I can do, and get better today. And then I started seeing the tangible results, because like I talk about in the show all the time, I could do 5 pull-ups the first day, and then a month in, I'm doing 8 pull-ups. I'm like, oh my God, like I was the only one who was able to do that. And so I was able to start kind of living in this way. And then luckily I've just done that in my life since. And that's what led me to being a pro hockey player. And that's what's led me to have whatever success I've had with my training company and the other things that I do for business now is that right there. I call it winning the day, one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Just do everything I possibly can in every situation, every interaction with every person I have. I want to add value. I want to bring value. And now, I'm only 40, but I can look back. I've been retired since 2018, and I can go, whoa, that first year I retired, my business was here. And now 8 years later, or 7, whatever it is, math is hard. I'm here. Oh my God. Yeah. I look back, it's like, how did I get there? Well, one day at a time. And then I can look back at my hockey career. How did I get to all the cool things that I got to? One day at a time. And so like for everybody listening to this, you listen to anybody you listen to Kobe, you listen to guys talk about Kobe. He showed up every single day and put in the work. It's not some big sexy thing every now and then, or one camp in the summer that's going to change your life. It's showing up, putting in the work, paying attention to detail, one day at a time.
You know what's crazy, and people laugh at me all the time when I say this, but it's 100% true. When I really started to try to turn my life around, I still do it to this day. The very first thing I do every single day, I make my bed. My wife will sometimes still be in the bed while I make it, right? But if I don't start my day with making the bed, whether, if my wife's off work, she'll sleep in, I still make the bed. She'll still be sleeping in it. It doesn't bother me any. I have to do that task. Just because she's in the bed doesn't mean it's not getting made. Like, it's getting made. And I do that every single day. And that one stupid, meaningless little task is one of the things that literally changed my entire life. And it sounds so silly, but it was one of those small, like, disciplined actions that I forced myself to do many, many years ago, when I was really starting to come back from addiction and everything, that I still do it to this day. Like, if my day starts and I don't make the bed for whatever reason, my whole day is like thrown off, like I'm missing something. So every morning, the first thing I do, I step up, I get up out of bed before I do anything else. Bed gets made.
Unbelievable. I look at that as like the snowball at the top of the hill. You're at the top of the hill to start the day. You have one positive action. You get one seemingly little win, but that little win push that snowball down, and then it becomes like the cartoons, Looney Tunes, Wile E. Coyote. Oh, yeah. That ball gets bigger and bigger, and you pick up momentum. Then you do the next thing, and now by lunchtime, you are a huge snowball rolling down the hill because you have all these wins stacked up, which gives you confidence.
Oh yeah, and it just puts you on the right mind frame of just getting stuff done in a productive, efficient way. And it sounds silly. And even when I do my seminars around the country with all the kids, and like, that's one of the examples I use. And people ask me all the time, they're like, how did you, and I literally, when I say, oh, I started with making my bed, and everybody laughs. And I'm like, it's not a joke. Like, if my bed doesn't get made, my whole day is ruined. Like, it just throws the whole day off. But I wake up, I make my bed. I wake up about 6:30, 7 o'clock every morning. Well, by 8 o'clock, I've already made my bed. I've already probably got 2 or 3, replies to emails. I've already booked a couple calls. I've already done, X, Y, and Z. I got 2 videos that I've already edited. I've got like 6 or 7 other tasks that have already been done within an hour of me waking up. So by the time I get to like 9 o'clock, I've accomplished what most people accomplish in an entire workday.
Awesome.
Yeah, unreal. I feel like, in fact, we've talked about this, but like, I feel like the word discipline needs a rebrand. Like everybody feels like discipline is this like negative word. You're getting disciplined when you get in trouble or whatever. When in reality, discipline is a superpower. It is an absolute, like, I think if you want to be great at anything that you do, if you're disciplined and you're resilient, you're going to be successful at whatever you put your mind into. And so like but like, all it is, like, we talk about making your bed every day. It's such a small thing, but Vex and I talk about simple, not easy. That seems like something that would be really easy to do, but to do it every single day, to get up and remember to make your bed especially the days where you don't feel like doing it, or you got 90 other things that are on your plate. No. First things first, follow the routine, make the bed, then we get on to our next thing. And I feel like, you being in the military, discipline is something that's ingrained in you from day one. And I feel like if we talked about discipline in a much more honest way, then a lot of us would be so much more successful at what we do. Because if you're consistent and you're disciplined in what you do, that's ultimately those stacking of those wins is what's going to help you win at the end of the day.
Yeah. You don't always have to be the most talented. You just got to be the one that doesn't stop.
Consistency. Yep. It's everything.
Success and failure are on the same road. One just got an earlier exit, baby.
Yeah. I'm not the best wrestling coach on the planet. I'm just the most consistent. I show up every day. I keep getting better, and I outwork every other one on the planet. So, it's really not hard to win when you do those things, because not everybody's willing to put in that work. Especially, to compare it to hockey. Think of it. I don't know anything about hockey, so if this sounds stupid, you guys can laugh at me. I'm okay. But like the first swing, when you guys are learning how to shoot a puck into a goal, like whatever the basic one is, I don't know. You've probably done it a million times since you were a kid and first learning how to skate. But that's probably your most utilized way to score a goal. And for a lot of people, they get to a point mentally where they're like, oh, I've done it a million times. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that drill, or I don't need to do that skill, or I don't need to do that task. Well, that one little task is what keeps you up here where everybody else stays here.
So true. So true. And for us too, especially like when you want to get to the higher levels, it's constantly fine tuning the process without ever like, I think the way that you speak to yourself is so important. Our self-talk, I think everything flows. Your subconscious thoughts are going to lead you to your conscious actions. So like with what I try and do with a lot of my young guys is like really help them with their self-talk and realize when it becomes negative and how to switch that back to a positive. And it's not because of like frou-frou and like, oh, if you just talk nice about yourself, you're better. No, you've obviously got to put action behind it. But the athletes, the people that really want to be successful, when your self-conscious or your self-talk is positive and constructive, not frou-frou, constructive and positive, that's going to lead you every time there's a fork in the road. Well, should I take those 10 extra shots after practice or get off early? You're just going to start to take the road that leads you to whatever your goals are. If your self-talk is always, I believe in myself, I can do this, I'm getting better every day, over and over and over. And then that becomes a positive feedback loop. And that, as an athlete or an entrepreneur or as somebody trying to climb the corporate ladder, whatever it is, you're trying to be successful, you want to get yourself in positive feedback loops, not negative. And it's really easy to get bumped off into that negative feedback loop. We've all been there when you have a bad match or a bad game, and then your self-talk goes to shit. And then, you go out and you eat something terrible, or you go and drink too many beers to bury the pain, but that didn't really help you. Now you're in this negative loop. So like getting your body and your brain in a positive feedback loop, I think, as somebody who wants to be successful in hockey, wrestling, sports, life, you've got to find a way to stay in the positive feedback loop.
Yeah, just keeping that. It's almost like being your own constructive critic, right? Like being so self-aware when you go through things, whether it's sport, whether it's life, whether it's business, whatever the case is, and just analyzing and holding yourself to that like accountability, like, hey, did this make me better? How can I improve this? I did this really good, but I kind of fell off here. How can I make this, this particular area, whatever it is, how can I make this better so it matches up with the rest of my performance or the rest of my, my systems? And just really having that inner dialogue with yourself of being honest and not just, oh, hey, we did a great job. Well, yeah, we did a lot of good things, but we kind of missed out some key opportunities here that we could really improve on with just a little bit of focus.
Dude, I call that like reflect, learn, adapt, apply. And then it's just that process after every single game, every practice, every day. For me, it's like at the end of the day, now I'm, and I did this when I played too. It's just like, okay, like what did I do well today? What were my wins? Okay, like where could I have been better? What interactions, what opportunities, what speeches I gave didn't hit, or like whatever it is, why didn't I get through to this guy as well as I thought I could? Okay, how could I have attacked that? Okay, so like now I'm in the learning, and then the adapting is tomorrow. Make sure that I think about that intentionally and then apply what I'm trying to adapt to. And then at the end of the day, again, reflect. Did this work? Did this not work? What did I do well? What did I do not well? And in hockey, that's like video. You watch your video after a game, after a weekend. And so, okay, what did I do really well? All right, write that down. This is working. Keep working on this. Let's go. Okay, well, where could I be better? Not, oh man, I suck at this. Because again, your self-talk matters. I'll never be able to do this. No, then you will never be able to do it. It's okay. I need to work on these things. Now you've got to adapt, start to bring those into your practices and apply over and over and over, and then just keep that loop going. And that's how you get better at freaking anything.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Even when I started putting out content, for example, I remember I sat down one day and when I first opened up my gym here in Atlanta, I was like, man, Atlanta's like a good old boy state, or like this area is like a good old boy network. So if you're not from here, which I'm not, you don't really fit in. So, I had to make a decision on, hey, I wanted to coach wrestling, and how am I going to grow this business? So content was obviously the way that I picked. And, in my head, knowing, I didn't go to college. I didn't wrestle on a senior team or an Olympic team or any of that stuff. I had that self-limiting belief on this side saying, hey man, like who's really going to care about, like, who's going to watch your stuff? Like nobody's going to care. Like you're nobody. And then the other belief, which was thankfully this side won, was like, hey man, if you do this and you do it right, you'll beat everybody. Like it doesn't matter. Like you will win. Nobody else is doing it. It's not like somebody has a corner on the market. If you do it, you stay consistent with it, you're going to keep getting better. The stuff that maybe you forgot about from, there's techniques that I forget that I even know because it's, I've been wrestling since I was like 4 years old. Like you'll relearn a lot of that stuff as you go. You don't have to know it all right now. Just keep pushing it out there. And then thankfully I listened to that side of me and, we're here now. But I mean, just that self-limiting talk was like an inner dialogue with me for a while. And it does matter. It's 100% effective. And now I've eliminated it all. And I'm just like, okay, we're rolling now. Like you ain't slowing this train now.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Well, JJ, let me ask you this. Just on top of that, you mentioned kind of like the angel and the devil on your shoulders, the one that had the belief and the one that was a little bit more filled with self-doubt. So we've had quite a few NHLers on our podcast, people who've played at the highest levels of our game. And a lot of their stories came with some self-doubt. And a lot of times it was somebody. It could have been one person. It could have been a group of people. But usually it's like one person who's like, you know what? I believe in you. When they didn't really believe in themselves, there was this one person or this group of people that kind of was like, no, man, like you're way better than you think you are right now. And they kind of helped them to put them on that path a little bit. When you were in Atlanta and you were trying to grow and you had, the angel and the devil, which way am I going to go? Am I going to have my belief? Am I not? Was there anybody or a group of people that helped you to kind of reflect and think about what you're good at and think about the value that you can bring to lean a little bit more towards the angel on your shoulder, and go that way?
Yeah, no, 100%. My wife has always been my biggest support, obviously. She's gonna have my corner no matter what. I mean, I think she kind of has to. But I actually have a list. I keep it on my phone and I have it on my computer here. A list of every single person when I first started pushing out content to try to grow my business from the ground up, of every single person who wholeheartedly supported me and believed in me and would always call and check in, even when I had nothing. And like business license in hand. That's how basic we were at, right? I have a list on my phone of every single one of those people, and every single one of those people are still around. They still help. I help them with a lot of stuff now. But yeah, so there was a lot of, I don't want to say a lot. It was maybe 7 outside of my wife and my family, people and, other business owners that I knew that were like, hey man, you got it. You can do this. You just put the work in and it'll get done and you'll be where you need to be. And everybody else, it's very funny. And I'm sure you guys have had this too in the hockey world. You always have those people that they say they support you. They stand over here. They wait because they're either waiting for you to fail or they're waiting to see if you do succeed, how they can benefit. And there's an equal number of people on both of those coins. And, it's a very delicate situation because now you got to kind of pick. I don't want to say pick, but you got to kind of filter out, who's really there for the right reasons. And obviously you meet people along the way. We met along the way, through Jarrett and First Form. And, there's people that you're going to meet along the way that are always going to be there for the right reasons. Once they meet you, the values align and everything. But, when you're first starting out, there's going to be those groups, and sometimes it's hard to decipher, who's really in that corner for you or who's really in that corner to see what can be in it for them later, if that makes sense.
Totally, 100%. And we, Vex and I get the opportunity to speak in front of kids a lot. And for me, I go through this whole thing, but I say, if there's one thing that I want you to take out of this today, is it's that the most important decision you're going to make in your life is who you surround yourself with, who are your friends.
Million percent.
Literally, if you get nothing out of the resilience that I talk about and how important repetition is and like your why, I don't care. Like that stuff is secondary too. I want you to make sure that you know that the most important decisions you're going to make in the next 5 to 10 years of your life are who your friends are and who you surround yourself with. And it is amazing to have done this podcast. We've been doing it over 7 years now, and to hear a lot of the different stories, particularly of the people who have gone on to do some amazing things in whatever field it is that they're in. And for us, a lot of the people that we talk to are hockey people. But just the power of belief and how incredibly powerful that can be, because I think all of us at some points in our life, there were people who believed in us more than we did. And without that belief in us, we probably aren't sitting here doing this podcast today with the success that the three of us have had. And so that's why I wanted to ask you that question, just as you were going through your start and building things, and as you were going through some of your tough stuff, just the quality of the people that are in your corner and the quality of the people that you surround yourself with at the end of the day is everything. Absolutely everything.
That's one of my favorite speeches to give when I go around the country is you show me your circle, I'll show you your future.
Mm.
And that's one of the, one of my key, almost like value points that I almost share at almost every seminar I do is, you are who you're around. And, if you put yourself around people that are up to no good, well, you're going to be up to no good. And if you put yourself around people that are on a positive track and they're doing positive things and they're growth minded and they're looking to get ahead, well, you're going to become one of those people too, because you naturally have to. Otherwise, you're not going to be in that circle anymore because they're going to get rid of you.
Mm. Yeah.
I want to say one more thing along these lines too. Something that helped me, and I tell a lot of players this too. We just talked about all the people that believed in us, and we love those people, and they're there for you. And there's also going to be the people who don't believe in you at all, or are chirping you for being a hard worker, or, putting out videos on social media, or, oh, you're going to speak and, you only had 10 people show up at your first ever speech. Well, yeah. Okay. For me, I think about those people and I use them to motivate me. I love the people behind me that are the positive. And those are the people who are pushing me, who are pushing me forward. And I think about the people who don't believe in me, and I'm like, I'm going to prove myself right, and I'm going to prove you effing wrong. So I know for a lot of kids, when they have a coach that doesn't like them, they feel that way. My coach is against me. Okay, well, he's probably not. But even if you think he is, if you let that bring you down, you're not getting better. You need to find a way to use the bad stuff, the hard stuff, the negative things, the injuries, getting cut from a team, whatever it is. You've got to take the negatives and find a way to make those make you better also. And I've told the story on the podcast before, but I remember a teammate in college when we were out 2 a.m. one night, he probably had some liquid courage in him, and he said, oh, you'll never sign in the NHL. And whether he was joking around or not, I thought about that every single day for the next year and a half, 2 years. And I thought about it as I was signing my name on my first NHL contract. And I used that to push me, not hurt me or bring me down or question myself. It was like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. So for the players out there, you need to have that circle. You need to have the people that always believe in you and have your back. But if there are naysayers, if there are people out there who don't believe in you, it's also your job to let that fuel you and not bring you down.
Oh, I love operating on spite. so honestly, one of the reasons I actually started my own gym, originally when I started the gym, was out of spite, because I did not like the way that some of the businesses and the wrestling clubs were being run down here. I thought they were taking advantage of parents. I didn't like the way, it wasn't what I grew up with when I came up. And I came from a National Wrestling Hall of Fame coach, like always doing the right thing. So, a lot of the stuff that I saw that was going on here really unsettled me. So my entire first priority mission when I opened my own gym was out of spite. And I love naysayers, because, if you don't have naysayers, if you don't have people that are talking trash or hating on you, then you're not doing anything worth talking about. So, I mean, in the wrestling world, in the hockey world, like, you could put out the most awesome video ever, right? You could put out the best, camp or whatever it is, right? And no matter how good it is, somebody's always going to have something to say, right? So if there's nobody that's saying anything negative, then you're not doing anything big enough, right? So like I love when I hear like negativity, because I'm like, oh good, I have your attention. Like what I'm doing in my life and what I'm doing with my business has such an emotional response that it forced you to just have to put your little keyboard fingers going. And so, I basically, at that point, I know that I hate to say it this way, but I know that I own your mind, right? Like, so I love operating out of spite, and it's one of the most powerful driving forces for anybody, as long as you use it properly. And like you said, you don't let it bring you down, like let it fuel you. Like, I have an athlete that I've been coaching for a long time. Some of you have probably seen videos of her on my social media. Vera, I mean, just one of one. You've probably seen her at First Form. Some of the videos we posted. I mean, the girl, she's a genetic freak. She's doing 30 pull-ups, laughing at you. She's just an all-around superhuman athlete. And one of the things that I would always tell her before her matches is, "Hey, remember everything they said about you." And I would just laugh and smile. And she would just look at me and be like, "Okay, coach." And then she'd go out and annihilate whatever girl it was. She never let it get to her. She never let it bother her, but she used it as fuel. And, when you're able to do that, you unleash levels within you that you didn't even know existed.
It's powerful. It's so, and again, like, don't get it twisted. Like you don't want to let the naysayers be in your own head and that's all you're thinking about, but
Correct.
They're out there and there's people who don't believe in you, or you get cut from a team. Your mindset has to be, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to go get so good at what I'm doing that I'm going to be undeniable. And that is a very, very, very motivating and powerful thing. I mean, I know you can't tell with Toph here, my man over here. Toph was disgusting in hockey. He's only 5'4". So in hockey, when we were playing, they were looking for guys that were 6'2". And everyone on his Cornell D1 hockey team was like 6'2" to 6'5". In the picture, it's like, whoa. And he was the captain. He had over 100 points in the Ivy League, which is defensive. It's tough. It's big. And I know, because, he's my cousin. We're the same age. Like his whole life, he had to battle that. And I know for a fact that pushed him. And that is why he got to be as good at hockey and a leader in the hockey space now, is because it was always like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. You're not going to not take me because of my size.
Yeah. I mean, any sport, I think, I think a lot of athletes put so much stock on what they don't have. Whether, if you're a wide receiver, I'm only 5'8", or, that guy's 6'2", or this guy's, 7'2", basketball player. Like, I think a lot of athletes put so much stock on what they don't have that they forget what they do have. And when you're able to just say, "Hey, look, I may not be, 6'4", but I'm 5'8" and I'm real strong." And you're not getting through me. If you're, in basketball, you're not getting through the paint on me. Like, you're going to run into a brick. And I think if a lot of athletes and coaches reframed how they put things out to their athletes, every athlete's not a blanket, right? I never coach two athletes the same. I got different sizes, shapes, men, women, whatever. So I personally, I always try to focus on, hey, what is going to work for this athlete, right? Like what works for this athlete is not going to work for this one, and vice versa. So when you focus on what you do have and how to accentuate those attributes, man, you could take a kid that maybe would have never got a D1 offer or a professional offer, and now they're, the all-star,
I love that word you use, reframe. It's a word that when I'm doing my research on different things, it's a word that I'm seeing a lot. How can you reframe a situation, right? Like, and you can reframe any situation and find the positive in it. Like we talked about, I'm small. Okay. I actually thought that was an advantage. Sure, there's some disadvantages to it, but like in tight spaces, like I'm big tree fall hard, baby. Like I'm going to get you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can't get on all the roller coasters at Cedar but hey,
I can now.
I love that.
But
I
it
love-
is. It's all about the reframe and how can you convince yourself of something in however dire that situation is. And everybody that's great at anything suffers from self-doubt. Anybody that's done anything worthwhile, that's never been easy. And so how can you find a way to extrapolate the positive out of it, the lesson out of it, and use it to fuel you to go in a good direction as opposed to the tough? Because it's really easy to go the other way. Like being lazy is easy. Being having self-doubt is easy. Making excuses is easy. Quitting is easy. But again, a lot of it just comes down to a reframe. The heart is what's going to make it good. This sucks right now, but imagine what it's going to be later on down the road when I'm laughing at people because I've had the success. It's if you find a way to reframe different situations and tell a story that's more conducive towards the positive, man, that's like such a superpower today.
Yeah, I think I think it was yesterday. I just had a video go out about choose your heart. Like,
Yeah.
both things you're going to do in life, like there's always a path, and both paths are going to be hard. So are you going to choose a path that's going to, give you a payoff in the end? Or are you going to choose a path that's going to make your life even worse? And now you're in a worse spot dealing with hard. So it really comes down to your mindset and reframing, like, hey, everything's in life is going to be hard. Like, life is hard, but I can choose to go through it and get through the hard, and it's going to make me better on the other side of it. Or I could just choose to endure it and let it continuously beat me down. And then now I'm still dealing with life being hard, but I'm not any better. I'm not any further. I didn't get better. I didn't exceed any goals. The more I talk to, and I'm around a lot of these like high level Olympic athletes and all-stars, professional athletes, I realized, as a kid, you look up to people like Michael Jordan, and you look up to all these guys, and most people think that they're just, Kobe, that they're just superhuman. They're just, they were just born different, or whatever you want to call it, right? And they're unreachable, they're untouchable, and they're like machines. Well, I've gotten to know a lot of these people over the last year, and they have a lot of similar stories to what I went through. Maybe not, the addiction or the homelessness, but the stuff that happens up here, they're all the same. The only difference is they chose their hard, and they chose to get better, and they chose to keep working, where everybody else said, oh, no, I'm good. I'm going to sit this one out. And so that's one of my things going forward into this year, is working with some of these athletes, is helping them get their stories out there, because especially in the wrestling space, all these kids look up to some of these athletes as just like these machines, and they almost feel like they're never going to be able to be in the same like space. It's just they're just so far out of reach. Well, the more I talk to a lot of these guys and girls, the more in common they have with these kids than these kids even realize. So one of my big initiatives this year is I'm partnering up with a lot of the senior and Olympic athletes, and I'm taking them basically on tour with me all over the country to get them in front of these parents and kids. Because on average, I have 2, 3, 4, sometimes 500 and 600 kids at my seminars. I want to get them in front of all these people to basically humanize them, so these kids can understand, like, hey, it's okay. Like, yeah, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, but hey, if some of the best wrestlers that ever lived in this country, the most decorated Olympians and world medalists, if they're going through all these things that I'm going through, like, I can still get myself there. They're not just superhuman. They didn't just wake up that way, and that's just, no, they had to work to get there. They had to work through those paths. And so that's one of my big initiatives. That's not the big news I'm going to be dropping, though. I do have some big news for you guys. I haven't told anybody about what's coming, except outside of my family. I haven't even announced it on social media yet. I'm so excited about what I am going to tell you guys here in a little bit.
Okay, here we go.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet, and the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under-eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Well, JJ, just kind of going along with that, and us never having met before, did a little bit of just kind of research on you, just to get to know you before having you on the podcast here. And one of the things that you talked about as it relates to this conversation here, I thought really resonated, particularly with me, but I'm sure with a lot of other people, because as we're going through our journeys, you mentioned, and you've been open, very open about some of the struggles that you've had in your life. But one of the things that you talked about, I thought was just so profound. And you said, I own my mistakes and have forgiven myself. I'm finally free. I've owned my mistakes and have forgiven myself. I am finally free. And I feel like two of those things, I own my mistakes. We don't have enough people that are doing that nowadays. Everybody loves to point the finger. Everybody loves to make excuses. You just look at our government and, it's all just a big blame fest, and those are the people who are leading our free world. And then the other thing is, like, there are people who can accept the fact that they're not perfect and that have made mistakes, but they beat themselves up. They just continually beat themselves up over it, and they can't get over that hump of forgiving themselves for the mistakes that I've made. And I get in front of a lot of parent groups. A lot of what I do is parent education. And every time I get in front of a group of parents, one of the questions that I ask them is, okay, for all of you in this room right now, I want you to raise your hand if you have a son or a daughter who is way too hard on themselves. And full stop. Every single time, at least 60% of the parents are raising their hands. Typically, it's closer probably to 70-75%. And these kids, in the environment that they're growing up in nowadays, there's so much pressure on them, and they feel like they have to be a professional at such a young age. And they just, for so many different reasons, are so incredibly hard on themselves. So I would love to just dive in a little bit deeper to that, because it really hit home for me when you talk about, I own my mistakes and I've forgiven myself, and now I'm finally free. Can you just expound on that a little bit? Because I think it's such an incredible message for any kid out there to hear.
Yeah. So to give a little context, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was a signals intelligence and radio reconnaissance Marine. So, you're going up and down on the stress level spectrum pretty frequently, and the military does really good, especially the Marine Corps, at preparing you to go to war, especially during, the war on terror in Afghanistan and Iraq. But they did a really not so great job at preparing you to come back and be like normal human again. And so when I got out, I didn't really have a plan. And I hadn't really processed anything that my brain saw or did or went through. I didn't really understand how to reintegrate out of being like a super high pace individual and back into like normal society where people don't obviously have the same drive and efficiency. Like, in the Marine Corps, like, we want something done. We want it done. We want it done right now. We don't want any questions asked. So it took a lot to kind of to reintegrate, and I didn't adjust well. So I fell into drugs and I fell into alcohol, and I was addicted to cocaine for a long time, and I ended up losing everything I had, and I was looked at. I was working jobs as like bartenders and stuff like that, and everybody in the areas that I worked at just looked at me as like a drug addict, like just no good, wasted potential, this, that, and the third. Whatever, anything you want to say about somebody in that kind of lifestyle, I've heard it. It's been said to me, a million times over. And anytime that I would try to start to get clean, and I would be like, all right, I'm turning the corner. Then, I wasn't at that mind frame yet at the time of being able to block stuff out. So anytime like I would take one step forward, somebody or whatever would come and it would knock me 3 steps back, and then I would fall even worse into the hole that I was in. And at the time I wasn't prepared to really move forward. It was almost like I was trying to mask myself, if that makes sense. And uh all these things that people would say to me would hurt. I didn't really understand. My brain didn't really work very well in terms of processing how to reframe things like we've been talking about. And so, I was in my head, I was trying to do better. I was trying to do these things, and then boom, get knocked back. Somebody, hey, he's just a drug addict. He's good for nothing. He's this, he's that. Oh, and then in my head, I'm like, oh, well, I'm just a drug addict. So what's a drug addict do? He goes and does more drugs. And eventually I ended up losing everything I had. I was homeless. My car got repossessed, kicked out of apartments. Like I lived on the street. Like I literally had nothing. I couldn't afford a cheeseburger if I wanted to at the freaking McDonald's. And it got to a point where, I ended up in a hospital where it was like a near overdose, where my heart like started spasming out. And that was really like the point where my life turned around. And my dad and my mom had come into the hospital and they saw me laying there. And that was really the point where I knew I needed to do something different. What I was doing was not working. And so I went to the VA and I got help. It wasn't inpatient. It was an outpatient treatment plan. It was called cognitive processing therapy. And it wasn't even for the drugs. It was to reframe how my brain worked in terms of processing triggers, processing how emotions and how I handled emotions and emotional response. And I tell you what, a lot of people may not have ever heard of cognitive processing therapy. It was probably one of the single best things I ever did. It was so good that I did it 4 times. So it's like a 16-week program. And it reframed how I use thoughts and how when things happen, how my brain perceives them, how I process things. So now if you if all those people were to say, oh, he's a no good for nothing drug addict, now I just laugh. Right. Back then it would have put me on a 2-week bender. And so when I was able to finally rewire my brain, if you will, I was able to take back that power here. Right. I was giving everybody else all this power over me, so that way, if anything they said, oh, they'll knock me down. Well, when I was able to finally get my thoughts together and figure out how to process everything, I was able to take that back. And when you can take back and own everything that you did, and instead of allowing people to use it against you, you use it for a driving force for good, which is now what I've been doing. Like, hey, yeah, you know what? I was a drug addict. I was homeless. I did make all these mistakes. Well, now what are you going to say about me? It's kind of like that 8 Mile, like right? Like it's one of those moments where it's like, yeah, I did all this stuff. Like, what else you got? Right. So that was really when I was able to forgive myself and say, you know what? I was that person. I did do all these things, but I'm not anymore. And once I was able to do that, I have never felt more free and liberated in my entire life. And now, anytime I still get comments, people every now and again, like will comment on, from bot accounts from my past, like people that, whatever, they have nothing better to do with their lives except worry about what I'm doing 15 years later. Every now and again, they'll make a slick comment on one of my videos. I just laugh, because I know that I'm no longer that person and it doesn't affect me anymore. So now I'm free from all of it. Right. There's nothing nobody can say to me now that is ever going to affect me in a way that it used to. If that makes, sorry, that was a really long tangent.
No, that was beautiful, man. That was incredible. And I want to ask you, just kind of going along with that, you talked about some of your struggles coming after you came back from the military. And I read this book, gosh, it was, I don't know how many years ago now, but it's called Tribe. Really interesting book. And one of the big studies that the guy talks about is veterans that are reentering society once they're done in combat, and why so many of them have mental health issues, and some of them even resorting to suicide and stuff like that. And it's really interesting because I feel like how so much of us think is that they have trouble reentering because, of all the stuff that you guys saw in combat, the killings and the crazy stuff that you see. But what they talked about was actually that's not why they are having issues coming back. Most of the time, it's because the camaraderie that you feel when you're in combat, and you guys are literally taking bullets for each other and will do anything to make sure you accomplish the mission. And it's all for each other, right? Purpose. Yeah. And then you come back and you don't have that team anymore. The world's a little more selfish than the world that you were living in. The support isn't there as much as when you were there. For us in the sports world, we have a lot of athletes that retire that have played hockey for a long time who really struggle with reentry into the real world because they don't have that quote unquote locker room anymore. That battle, that shared purpose with a group of individuals to go and get after it. And so, I would love to ask you if that was something that you in your, you've done a lot of work on yourself, obviously, and you've done a lot of reflecting about different things. But we even talked about it at the beginning, how important surrounding yourself with really good people is. What would you say to kind of that, and how important it is to have your team and to have that purpose when you came back, for anybody that might be going through something like that right now?
So I think for me, honestly, it took a long time to figure out what exactly my purpose was going to be. Right. So even when I got healthy, even when I got clean, I got sober, I was still like just day to day. Right. And I don't mean like from the drugs part, but just I didn't really have a purpose. It wasn't until I moved here to Atlanta and I started to want to get back into wrestling and combat sports that like I started to slowly see a purpose. But my purpose on what I thought my purpose was going to be and what my purpose is now are like couldn't even be further from the same point. And life, I've found, has a funny way of like showing you what your purpose is. So just to give you an example, when I opened up my wrestling gym, I thought my purpose was going to be to build a powerhouse wrestling gym, just have a bunch of hammers and killers coming out of this state and, nationally recognized, this, that, and the third. Well, life handed me an athlete that was battling mental health and struggles mentally. And that athlete, I still coach this athlete to this day, every day. And when they went through something pretty tough, my entire purpose shifted from I don't care about having a powerhouse wrestling club anymore to how can I help save lives? If I can save this person's life, I can save others. So what I thought my purpose was going to be was building this big powerhouse wrestling program. Well, now, yeah, my page, if you look at my page, yes, there's wrestling, but if you listen to the words that I say and how I say it and how I deliver it and the message, the undertones, my page actually has nothing to do with wrestling at all. And so life is kind of funny with that because what I thought my purpose was supposed to be couldn't have been further. If you would have told me a year ago I'd be doing this and I'd be traveling the world doing all this stuff and reaching millions of people, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have thought you were the one on drugs. I'd have thought you're crazy. So sometimes you might think you know what your purpose is, and then life is going to reveal you a bigger one or a different one or one that you haven't even seen coming yet. So I think having the initial plan of a purpose is great, but also still being open to that purpose might change. And, it sure did for me because now, yeah, like I said, wrestling's on my page, but my page actually has nothing to do with wrestling anymore. Like wrestling's this big of the level of importance to me. It's, for me, it's how can I help How can I save people's lives? How can I change lives? And how can I be the light that I needed when I was in these situations? And that actually ties into, I guess I can make the announcement now.
Let's do it.
So
Let's go.
yeah, so my wife and my immediate family, and there's like maybe 3 other people that know about this. One of my big initiatives that I want to do going into 2026 is I want to help change and save as many lives as possible. Now, obviously, I work with kids. I also am really big and support the veteran community. I was trying to find charities that I could kind of do both, right? And so I was going through all these lists of charities, and and this isn't to slight any charity whatsoever, right? They were all wonderful, wonderful charities. But one charity did one thing, but not the other. One other charity did this thing, but not the other. And I wanted to find a way to mesh it all together. So, me being me, I made my own. So, as of yesterday morning, actually, I filed for my own nonprofit. It is called Wrestling with Life. And the mission is to support individuals that are facing addiction, homelessness, and mental health challenges, whether they're veterans, youth, or just underserved families, with assistant programs, access to treatment, resources, mentorship, housing, financial assistance, transportation, community-based support. So basically what that means is whether it's sport related, if they're underserved, whether it's rehab treatment. My goal is to fundraise by utilizing these clinics that I'm already doing with wrestling all over the country, put that money towards the programs. So when there's people that, maybe they need rehab, but they can't afford it, I just want to cover it. I'm just going to pay for it. If there's a veteran that needs mortgage assistance, they're on the verge of foreclosure, we're just going to go ahead and pay that mortgage and take care of that stuff to keep them off the street. And just so many different things with community fitness and getting people out and trying to help reframe their minds. So basically everything that I went through, I want to help try to solve. And so in an effort to, instead of just donating blindly to random charities, I said, okay, well, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it yourself. So I set it up to where 90% of every dollar is going directly to the programs that are going to serve these people.
Unbelievable, bro.
So
That's
cool.
amazing, man.
So that's my big news. It's so fresh that like I barely got the Instagram page up this morning. I don't even have a post yet.
What's the Instagram page so people can follow?
It's Wrestling with Life _ Literally, I don't even have a post on there yet. I just got literally. I mean, it's the paperwork is in the IRS mailbox right now. Everything else is approved. The ads running in the paper. We're going to start fundraising. I actually have an event coming up right after the first of the year, which will be the first fundraiser event for it, followed by another one in February and another one in March. So we're going to start 2026 off rolling in fundraising events. And then I'm hoping to be able to have scholarships and different programs up, running, and ready to get out to the people that need these assistances by early summer. That is my goal.
Hell yeah.
So
cool.
Congratulations. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you.
And I cannot even imagine the amount of work that went into doing that, especially like.
Yeah, I told my wife on Wednesday night, I said, hey, today's Friday, right? Yeah. So Wednesday afternoon, I had a call with a person who basically ran me through the whole process of how to put together a 501c. And I told my wife, I said, hey, I know I was looking at charities that I wanted to donate to or affiliate with. I'm just going to make my own. She went to work the next morning. By noon, everything was filed and done.
Awesome.
There it is.
Ready to go. I don't waste any time.
Put your money where your mouth is. Let's go, baby.
If I say it, I get it done, and I got it done within 2 hours.
So awesome.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. That's incredible.
So
And
thank you.
And thank you so much for your time here today, JJ. This has been real. This has been awesome. So many great things that so many kids are going to listen to, and adults too, to help them on their journeys. And if you got a couple more minutes, we'd love to do a little quick 10 questions with you.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll house that in our Hockey Think Tank, Hockey Think Tank community. And man, dude, thank you for opening up. Thank you for what you do. I mean, you're, like Vex said, your Instagram page is incredible. So much inspiration on there.
Thanks so
Just
much.
if you want to be better at what you do, it's a great follow. And so thank you, man. This has been great.
No, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys.
The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025. All rights reserved.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.